This is the all-new WICR. We're now on Live 365 and Ustream.com. Just search WICR and like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/WICR Iona College Radio.
From the basement of La Penta, this is your host, The Rock is on this Monday, February 13th, 2017. We have a lot to get to today. We got a lot of local headlines regarding the Knicks. Pitchers and catchers reporting this week, position players next week. But before we get into the saga, the whole drama with the Knicks, I just wanted to say, talk a little football though. Today's a sad day for some Giant fans. And if you didn't hear the news, the Giants have released Victor Cruz today at around 2 p.m. So the Giants are moving on without Victor Cruz, and he's been with the team for close to 6 years or 6 seasons, and he played a major role for them, winning Super Bowl 46 against the New England Patriots. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons, got over 1,000 yards, but this kind of hurts the Giant fans in the heart, though, who grew up watching Cruz, and Victor Cruz is a local guy from Paterson, New Jersey. But you know what? This is just the business of the NFL and the reality of it, if you want to say. The harsh business of the NFL and the reality of it. But with that being said, we are going to talk about the New York Knicks, the high school drama New York Knicks, as I say it. And we got to talk about the Charles Oakley incident. Now, for those of you who don't know, Charles Oakley was a former New York Knick. He played for the Knicks for about a decade, from 1988 to 1998. And he was just an enforcer. This guy would just grab rebounds, dive for loose balls, play physical, hard-nosed defense. That was his role. He was the enforcer, and he did the dirty work. And on Wednesday, when the Knicks were home playing the Clippers, he was sitting 4 rows behind the Knicks. If you watch the game, he was sitting 4 rows behind the basket and 4 rows behind James Dolan, so to speak. But the incident started when Charles Oakley got into the building, got into the garden with about just right before tip-off, and he was in there, and he took his seat, sitting there, and then now this is his side of the story. Now I'm hearing multiple reports, but we'll start with his side. And he was saying that he was sitting there, he was just minding his business, not drawing any attention to himself, and the security guards looked at him, glanced at him, gave a perplexed look. And then a few minutes later they approached him and they said, we were given orders for you to leave the premises, or to leave the garden. And Oakley's sitting there I'm not leaving. Well, why do I have to leave? And then they exchanged some words here and there. And then, of course, if you didn't see the video, Oakley gets physical. He pushes some security guards away. In a vicious, violent manner. And that's when the whole craziness began. And then, as you know, he's escorted by, security guards, NYPD, and he's taken to the floor, arrested, leaves the guard in handcuffs, and was charged with 3 minor assault charges and a trespassing charge. But that was his side of the story, saying, hey, I'm just minding my own business, I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm just here to watch the game and support the Knicks. Now, on the other hand, the owner, James Dolan, said, no, he was disruptive, he was shouting out obscene things, he was trying to make a point, or he was trying to get at me, stuff like that. And then that's when he was disruptive to the fans and the people surrounding him who were trying to watch the game. And that was Dolan's side of the story. But this is what I just wanted to get this though. What baffles me, and this baffles me, but what baffles me is that how do you not have you see Charles Oakley, one of the not greatest Knicks of all time, but a fan favorite, and he's recent. But you see Charles Oakley in the stands, and you ask him to leave, but yet, in the game on Sunday when the Knicks were playing the Spurs, you had Latrell Sprewell and Larry Johnson sitting right next to James Dolan. And Latrell Sprewell, if you recall, he left on the Knicks on bad terms. And he hasn't been in the Garden after he retired, hasn't probably even talked to James Dolan since then. But he and Larry Johnson, and no disrespect to those guys, they were neutral. They played pivotal roles. They played a pivotal role for the Knicks in the '99 NBA Finals, or to get them to the '99 NBA Finals. But it's like, how do you favor Latrell Sprewell over Charles Oakley? That just baffles me. And then also, it's just another thing that baffles me is that how do you have this happen, this incident happen, this embarrassing moment in Knicks history happen in an anniversary year? Because this is the Knicks' 70th anniversary or 70th season, and they're honoring all the great players from past, present, and then somewhat in the future. They honored the old school Knicks like Walt Clyde Frazier, Phil Jackson, Willis Reed, Earl Monroe. Guys who won the championships in the early '70s. And then, of course, Patrick Ewing, Allen Houston, John Starks, the '90s Knicks. But it's like, how do you not bring Charles Oakley, or how do you not honor Charles Oakley? How? Like, I can understand there's some animosity between Dolan and Oakley, but it's like, come on, you got to work out your problems. And plus, he's a fan favorite. Knicks fans loved him when he was playing. They adored his work ethic. They admired it. And like I said earlier, he elected to do the dirty work, which most players, probably even back in the day or during his playing days, weren't willing to do it. And it's a shame how you have a legend, or one of the few greatest Knicks, leave that Garden in handcuffs being arrested. And then what made that even worse is that that was a national televised game. It was on ESPN. So not only if you're watching it, not just the tri-state area watched it or saw what happened, but the whole nation saw it. Now granted, people were going to see it the whole country was probably going to see it anyway, because it was going to be rerun on SportsCenter over and over again, but still, it happened. It was an ESPN game, nationally televised game. People are watching it live, or not live, but watching it occur as it happened. It's not just a highlight. It's just when it initially happened on TV, most people in the country saw it. And you know what? It's just another embarrassing footnote and another embarrassing moment for the New York Knicks. And that concludes this segment.